Alright, here we are back at my Triton V10 with the blown spark plug on cylinder number 5. So I've decided that I'm going to put an insert in it in number 5, and I think I'm going to put inserts in all 10 of the cylinders. The Triton suffers from the aluminum head problem with the minimal number of threads per spark plug, about 4. And you know, it's I don't know if it's a chronic problem, but it's a known problem with these Triton engines where they blow the spark plugs out often after a spark plug change. And like I said in an earlier video, this is a used truck, and the fellow before me was a mechanic and he replaced the plugs on it. So I'm afraid that not just one is compromised, that many of them are compromised. So I'm probably going to end up replacing them all. So what I'm going to start with is starting to clean up this top end, get some of these air intakes and hoses out of the way so that I can have room to work on it. So I'll start with, since this is a nice big piece, get this air filter, air intake out of the way. You notice on the bottom of this air filter there is a electronic module, so we'll have to come over here and should be able to unclip it right here, undo that cable clamp, and then pull a few hoses loose, and then hopefully be able to pull this whole thing out of the way and free up this side, clear up this side quite a bit. We'll see. Alright, I'm starting to clean up this driver's side, get a few things out of the way so I can access those spark plugs. And I was going to take the air filter off, have to disconnect this cable right here underneath. It looks like I didn't need to. It looks like if I just take loose these two hose clamps, one on the end, one on this end, and one on that end, I can lift this whole thing out of the way, pull loose these two hoses from right down here on the valve cover and straight back there. And it pretty much frees up this whole side. I mean, that's pretty accessible. I can't complain about that. I mean, even that back plug doesn't look like it'll be too bad to get at. So, actually for this is a 2001, but for a modern vehicle, I mean, I don't know if 2001 is modern, but I mean, actually pretty accessible from the top. So it actually just doesn't look too bad. So I feel pretty reasonable about this. All right, so this will probably clean me up on this side. What I'll probably do is get a couple of rags and stuff in some of these holes just to make sure bugs and dirt don't get up in there while I'm working on things. But this should clear up the driver's side pretty well. Okay, here we are at the Triton V10 spark plug blowout replace. So I just stripped this air intake piece off that was right here between the throttle body and the air filter. The air intake filter's here. And you can see that there was a couple of exhaust gas recirculation tubes over there. So what I did when I removed the piece, I got it sitting over here in a bucket. See, there's a couple of hoses that went over to the exhaust gas, over to the throttle body over here, over to the air filter over here. When I took that off, I don't want those holes exposed where I have these white rags. What I did is I just took a white rag, covered up the holes, and then zip tied it, or in this case, put the hose clamp back on, the one that was holding the air intake tube in place. Because as you can see, I'm sort of out in the field doing this, kind of farmer style. So we'll see how long it takes me to get it done. And given that I don't have it in a nice, clean, pristine shop, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to do, since I've decided to do all 10 plugs, put new inserts in them, it's probably going to be a while. And if it is, I don't want to leave these holes open for bugs, dirt, something to fall into, who knows. So anyhow, as I take the pieces off, I cover up the holes and get them plugged, and make it so that things won't fall in there that they're supposed to be in there. Okay, here we are. We're removing all the various pieces out of the way so we can work on the spark plugs for this Triton V10. So you can see I removed the air intake tube from the air filter to the throttle body. The throttle body's right over here. Now what I'm going to do is remove this little plastic cover that covers the throttle and the cruise control. So it should, it was plugged in right back here, and then I already pushed that out of the way. Then it should just slide off, and that leaves exposed. So let me just show you that again. So this little piece of plastic was just covered up right here, and this tab goes in this slot back here. So we'll get that out of the way, and then what we've got is the throttle cable right here, and the cruise control cable right here. So the cruise control cable should just snap off. Let's see if I can get that to. Okay, yeah. See, it's just on a peg there, and it just slides in over this peg. And then for the actual throttle, let's see, we should be able to pull this back, get this cable loosened up, and then you see it's just a peg that just slides in a hole right here. So there we go, there's the throttle cable. It just was, it's just draped around here, and then the peg goes in this hole right here. So you can do it two ways. Either just do what I did, just whip it around the side, or you can press this forward to give yourself a little room to work on it, drag the cable up, and put that peg right back in there. So let me push it like this back. So yeah, this is a little cable right here, the skinny end slides in, and like I said, it just wraps around the bottom here. And if you push this back, it'll give you some room to work to just slide that peg right in that hole, and it'll lay right in there when it's inside of there. And that's your throttle. So we'll take those out of the way. Then what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect this spring, because this piece is going to remain on the engine. And then we'll remove this piece right here. We'll move this bolt right there and this one right here. Take this out of the way, these cables, and then we can free up this space right through here, so we can get at these other spark plugs by removing these throttle and cruise control cables. Okay, so this is just a note for me. When I'm taking this piece off right here, I pulled a plug off right here that I zip tied over here, so I'll have to cut this zip tie loose, bring this plug back around to here. I pulled a couple of hoses off. They go right here and here. One of them is sitting over here, and I zip tied it up. The other one is a piece I took off right back there and went right up to this fatter one right here. It's sitting over there in the barrel. So this one will cut loose, swing back around underneath here, and come over to right here, this little one. And I'm about to take this red hose off right here. So I just want to make myself a note that this here is about to get pulled off, so I can take this completely out of the way. So that's out of the way, and I'm left with this piece here, this hose, a couple of other holes down here I'll want to plug and cap off, a piece back there. Oh, and you can see back here, that's where the coil for the coilover spark was for cylinder 5. And starting to get things cleaned up. You can see now the coil for 4, which means the spark plug's right under it. There's 4, 3, 2, 1. So, I mean, it's cleaning up not too bad. I'll probably pull a few more things out of the way, but I could probably work with this. We'll see. Okay, here we are back at the Triton V10. It's a Ford F250 with a blown spark plug. So I've been cleaning up all the hoses, making room to access the spark plug holes. What I've decided to do was put some steel inserts in the aluminum head to bite the spark plugs into. So I've been, cleaning all the hoses and plumbing, all the air and exhaust gas recirculation plumbing off the top end, so that I can access the spark plugs and get at them to put the inserts in. So it actually cleaned up pretty well. The driver's side, quite a bit better. You can see these little white rags around here. These are all of the places where I've disconnected plumbing that I don't want bugs or dirt or whatever else to get down in there. So various pieces like that. So it doesn't look too bad.